What's up, guys? I'm DK, and you're watching Pro Wrestling What If, the series where I look at the different what if scenarios as terms of the world that we call professional wrestling. Today, we are continuing from last week as we discuss what if every Elimination Chamber winner was different. So now for this part, we are talking from 2015 all the way until last year's event in 2024. And if you're wondering about the 2025 event that's happening next Saturday, next week on the channel, we will have our monthly PLE predictions what if video where I will go through the exact same process as I have with last week's part 1 and this part 2 video. And if you want to watch that video and all the other episodes of Pro Wrestling What If before anyone else, definitely consider joining our YouTube channel membership down below. It's only $1.99 a month and you'll get access to every episode 24 hours before anyone else. You'll get a shout out and a couple of other perks. And speaking of those shout outs, shout out goes to Jackson Weingart, Jada Sanchez, Fox Starkiller, Mr. Randomizer, and Lola Pines for joining our YouTube channel membership. But definitely consider joining our YouTube channel membership. It will be greatly appreciated. It will help out the channel a lot, but nonetheless, let's continue this video. And if you end up enjoying this video, don't forget to hit that like button, share this to all your friends, subscribe, and press the notification bell for when future episodes get released, and leave a comment down below about today's topic or suggesting a future topic for an episode of Pro Wrestling What If. So for Chamber number 18, it took place at the Elimination Chamber 2015 event, which was for the WWE Tag Team Championships, as we had the Ascension, Cesaro and Tyson Kidd, Los Matadores, Lucha Dragons, Primetime Players, and the reigning champions, the New Day. The New Day would retain their Tag Team Championships and go on to hold them until the following pay-per-view of Money in the Bank, where they dropped them to the Primetime Players. And I will say, if the New Day didn't win, then the Primetime Players would have became the new champion. That's because the power of hindsight that they would end up winning the titles from the New Day the following month at Money in the Bank, and they would hold them until Money in the Bank, where the New Day would win the titles back and begin the reign that eventually becomes the longest reign in history, originally held by Demolition and later broken by the Usos. And that would be the same scenario for the other teams. The 19th Chamber match also took place that night, but for the vacant Intercontinental Championship, as we had Dolph Ziggler, King Barrett, Mark Henry, R-Truth, Ryback, and Sheamus. And Ryback would go on to win the Intercontinental Championship and end up dropping it to Kevin Owens at Night of Champions 4 months later. And I think in this case, Dolph Ziggler would have won the championship. And I think it's because WWE would have wanted a babyface to win the title, so if it wasn't Ryback, then I think Dolph Ziggler would have won. And just like Ryback, I think he would end up dropping it to Kevin Owens at Night of Champions, which I think the same thing would apply to Mark Henry since he was also a babyface at this time. King Barrett would have made sense not only due to coming off winning the King of the Ring tournament, but he was the one who injured Daniel Bryan in storyline's sake and had him vacate the title, which made this match happen in the first place. Capitalizing on that injury, and King Barrett would have likely held the title until at least the end of 2015. Sheamus winning the title would have been an interesting scenario because I think that if Sheamus were to have won here, it would be highly unlikely that he ends up winning the Money in the Bank ladder match the following month and be pushed into the world title scene. The unfortunate reality would be that they probably would have R-Truth drop the title the following night on Raw, kind of like the scenario we ended up seeing with Zack Ryder when he won at WrestleMania 32. The 20th Chamber match took place at Elimination Chamber 2017, which this was for the WWE Championship, as we had AJ Styles, Baron Corbin, Bray Wyatt, Dean Ambrose, The Miz, and the reigning champion John Cena. Bray Wyatt would become the new WWE champion by pinning AJ Styles and go on to defend and lose the title to Royal Rumble winner Randy Orton at WrestleMania 33. And I think in this case, John Cena would have retained the title. And that's because I think it would make sense for John Cena's 16th World Championship reign be longer than the 2 weeks he ended up having it for. And this would have finally given us the one-on-one match between John Cena and Randy Orton at WrestleMania. However, no matter who won the Elimination Chamber match, they would be dropping the WWE Championship to Randy Orton. An AJ Styles versus Randy Orton match at WrestleMania instead of SmackDown in 2017 would have been great. Yes, we ended up having a WrestleMania match between them 2 years later, but that match wasn't as good as the SmackDown match in my opinion. The 21st Chamber match took place at Elimination Chamber 2018, which was the first ever Women's Elimination Chamber match and was for the Raw Women's Championship, as we had Bayley, Mandy Rose, Mickie James, Sasha Banks, Sonya Deville, and the reigning champion Alexa Bliss. And Alexa Bliss would retain the Raw Women's Championship and would go on to defend it and drop it to Nia Jax at WrestleMania 34. And I think had Alexa Bliss not retained, Sasha Banks would have won the title, which would lead to Sasha Banks defending the title against Alexa Bliss at WrestleMania 34 and retain. And I also do think that she would have actually held it longer than 30 days, unlike her previous reigns, and would eventually drop it to Nia Jax to begin the storyline of Nia Jax and Alexa Bliss we had in the real timeline, but done later in 2018. And I think that would be the same case with Bayley, since she was one of the 4 horsewomen and would probably be given a lengthier reign than the rest of the competitors in the chamber match. But speaking of the other competitors in the chamber match, I do think they would drop it right back to Alexa Bliss at WrestleMania 34. The 22nd chamber match took place in the same night, where the winner got a Universal Championship match at WrestleMania 34, which had Braun Strowman, Elias, Finn Balor, John Cena, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and The Miz, the first ever 7-man Elimination Chamber match. We had Roman Reigns win the match and face Brock Lesnar for the Universal Championship at WrestleMania 34. However, he would end up losing the match and wouldn't win the title from him until SummerSlam in August. I think it's safe to say that if Roman Reigns couldn't get the job done at WrestleMania 34, then neither would the other competitors, even John Cena, considering Brock Lesnar's reign as Universal Champion was used to break the 434-day WWE Championship reign of CM Punk. The 23rd Elimination Chamber match took place at Elimination Chamber 2019, which this was to crown the inaugural WWE Women's Tag Team Championship, which we had the Boss and Hug Connection, Carmella and Naomi, Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville, Nia Jax and Tamina, the Iconics, and the Riot Squad, where we saw the Boss and Hug Connection become the inaugural champions, but unfortunately would drop them in a fatal 4-way match to the Iconics at WrestleMania 35. And I feel the winners would have been the Iconics, but I feel no matter which team won, the Boss and Hug Connection would have won the Tag Team Championships at WrestleMania, which not only would have had them had a longer reign than they originally did, but this would result in Sasha Banks not leaving the company and having her hiatus after WrestleMania due to frustrations with creative. The 24th chamber also took place that same night, but for the WWE Championship, with AJ Styles, Jeff Hardy, Kofi Kingston, Randy Orton, Samoa Joe, and the reigning champion Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan would retain the WWE Championship and go on to defend it in a triple threat match against Kevin Owens and Mustafa Ali at Fastlane, a match where he would retain the title before dropping it to Kofi Kingston at WrestleMania 35. And no matter the winner, if Daniel Bryan lost the championship in the chamber, he would get his rematch at Fastlane and lose the match, and then when it comes to WrestleMania, he would team with Rowan and go after the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. But I do think the winner would have ended up being Randy Orton. Randy Orton had turned heel near the end of 2018, feuding with Jeff Hardy, and had just finished a feud with Rey Mysterio. If we still want Kofi Mania to happen, then Randy Orton would have been a perfect heel to Kofi Kingston's popularity as a babyface, still bringing up the 2009 rivalry and how Orton held Kingston back like in the real timeline as a part of their rivalry later on in the year. Kofi Kingston would have ended up defending the WWE Championship against Daniel Bryan at Fastlane and would go on to have a singles match with Kevin Owens at WrestleMania instead of having it the following month at Money in the Bank. AJ Styles. It's very likely that he just defends the WWE Championship against Randy Orton, and either he loses it to him because he gets drafted to Raw like in the real timeline, or retains and doesn't get drafted to Raw, or at least not drafted until the other draft they had in October of that year. Samoa Joe winning would mean that he doesn't win the United States Championship a few weeks after the event. Just like Daniel Bryan and the Randy Orton scenario, he would drop the title to Kofi Kingston at WrestleMania 35. Jeff Hardy defends the WWE Championship at Fastlane against Daniel Bryan, but unlike the other scenarios, he does end up dropping the title back to Daniel Bryan. The match we would get at WrestleMania would be a triple threat match with Daniel Bryan defending against Jeff Hardy and Kofi Kingston. The 25th chamber match took place at Elimination Chamber 2020, where we had the SmackDown Tag Team Championships on the line with Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode, Heavy Machinery, Lucha House Party, New Day, The Usos, and the reigning champions Miz and John Morrison. The Miz and John Morrison would retain the SmackDown Tag Team Championships and would originally set up a triple threat ladder match with the New Day and The Usos for WrestleMania. However, due to The Miz contracting an illness illness before the event, the match was turned into a normal triple threat match where one member of each team were represented to win the tag team titles, having John Morrison, Jimmy Uso, and Kofi Kingston in the match. I think regardless of whether the New Day or the Usos had won, we would still get that triple threat match, considering that the New Day and the Usos always managed to find their way in the tag team title scene during WrestleMania season. And if it was either Heavy Machinery or the team of Dolph Ziggler and Bobby Roode, the match would have been a fatal four-way with Tucker representing Heavy Machinery or Bobby Roode representing his team, as the WWE were paying off the storyline with Otis and Mandy Rose by having Otis face Dolph Ziggler at the event. And if Lucha House Party won, you definitely know for sure that they would have been dropping them maybe even before WrestleMania to Miz and John Morrison. The 26th Chamber match took place the same night, where the winner got a shot at the Raw Women's Championship at WrestleMania 36, which had Asuka, Liv Morgan, Natalya, Ruby Riott, Shayna Baszler, and Sarah Logan, where we saw Shayna Baszler win the match and go on to challenge Becky Lynch for the Raw Women's Championship at WrestleMania 36, but was unsuccessful at capturing the title. If Shayna Baszler, who is being built up as this unstoppable badass, couldn't win against Becky Lynch, then I feel like that's the same scenario for the other competitors. The 27th Chamber match took place at Elimination Chamber 2021, where the winner got an immediate Universal Championship match, which had Cesaro, Daniel Bryan, Jey Uso, Kevin Owens, King Corbin, and Sami Zayn, where Daniel Bryan would win and would end up losing to Roman Reigns in the following match in 90 seconds. And once again, no matter who the competitor was, it was going to be the same scenario. This was done to add more heat onto Roman Reigns as he kept holding that Universal Championship. The 28th Chamber match also took place at the same event, but for the WWE Championship, as we had AJ Styles, Jeff Hardy, Kofi Kingston, Randy Orton, Sheamus, and the reigning champion Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre would retain the WWE Championship, but would drop it to The Miz as he successfully cashed in his Money in the Bank briefcase. The Miz would drop it 8 days later to Bobby Lashley, who would then defend the title against Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania. And I feel like once again, with a lot of these recent chamber matches, it seemed the winner was very predictable, so a lot of the scenario would be the same, where the new champion would defend their title against Drew McIntyre at Fastlane in a no disqualification match, which Sheamus so happened to have had a match against McIntyre at the event in the real timeline in a no holds barred match. And just like at Elimination Chamber, Bobby Lashley would attack Drew McIntyre, but in the middle of the match. The Miz would cash in his Money in the Bank briefcase, making it a triple threat match, and win the championship, still having everything that had happened after Elimination Chamber occur, still getting us to Drew McIntyre versus Bobby Lashley at WrestleMania 37. The 29th Chamber match took place at Elimination Chamber 2022, where the winner got a Raw Women's Championship match at WrestleMania 38, which had Alexa Bliss, Bianca Belair, Doudrop, Liv Morgan, Nikki ASH, and Rhea Ripley, where Bianca Belair would end up winning the match and go on to defeat Becky Lynch at WrestleMania 38 to win the Raw Women's Championship. No matter who won the match, I think Becky Lynch would have retained the title at WrestleMania and eventually drop it to Bianca Belair, whether that be at WrestleMania Backlash or at Hell in a Cell, since Bianca Belair was being pushed as the next big face of the women's division, hence why she won in the first place. The 30th Chamber match also took place that night, but for the WWE Championship, as we had AJ Styles, Austin Theory, Brock Lesnar, Riddle, Seth Rollins, and the reigning champion Bobby Lashley. Brock Lesnar would become the new WWE Champion, which this match was considered as his rematch clause after losing the title the month prior at the Royal Rumble. Brock Lesnar, who did win the Royal Rumble match, but now as the WWE Champion, would invoke his WrestleMania title opportunity for Roman Reigns' Universal Championship, which the winner between the two would walk out with both the WWE and Universal Championships, which ended up being Roman Reigns. And I think had Brock Lesnar not won, it would have been Riddle. Considering Riddle was penciled in at one point to win the Royal Rumble match, the clear direction here would be to see the implosion of RK Bro as Randy Orton would challenge Riddle for the WWE Championship at WrestleMania 38. Seth Rollins winning here would be interesting because with Seth Rollins going into WrestleMania as WWE Champion, he wouldn't be the one that faces Cody Rhodes in his return match, which I think that honor would have been given to Randy Orton. Seth Rollins would defend the WWE Championship against Riddle in a singles match, considering of what I mentioned about Riddle Riddle and how he would have gone for the WWE Championship as his choice anyways. Two things would have happened if Bobby Lashley retained at Elimination Chamber. First would be that MVP doesn't ditch him as his manager and side with Omos. And second would be a triple threat match would occur where he defends it against Riddle and Randy Orton. Vince McMahon was a fan of Riddle's work, and it was likely that he would have had a run with the title in this case, and that triple threat match that I mentioned would be the same scenario with the other competitors had they won the title instead. The 31st Chamber match took place at Elimination Chamber 2023 for the United States Championship, as we had Bronson Reed, Damian Priest, Johnny Gargano, Montez Ford, Seth Rollins, and the reigning champion Austin Theory, which Austin Theory would go on to retain the United States Championship and go on to defend and retain the title against John Cena at WrestleMania 39. And had it not been Austin Theory, I think Seth Rollins would have won the United States Championship, considering this would be an easy route because he would still have his match with Logan Paul, but this time having the United States Championship on the line. Otherwise, I feel if it's anyone else, that the United States Championship wouldn't be defended on the show, especially since the rest of the competitors weren't on the card of WrestleMania and only featured in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal on the SmackDown before WrestleMania. Besides Montez Ford, who is featured in the Tag Team Showcase match, in which in his case of winning would at least have the title be seen on WrestleMania but not be defended at the event. The 32nd Chamber match also took place that night, where the winner got a Raw Women's Championship match at WrestleMania 39, which we had Asuka, Carmella, Liv Morgan, Natalya, Nikki Cross, and Raquel Rodriguez, which Asuka would go on to win the match and challenge Bianca Belair for the Raw Women's Championship at WrestleMania 39, but would be unsuccessful at winning the title. However, she would get another shot at Night of Champions, and this time she would win the title, and eventually having the title get turned into what we see today as the WWE Women's Championship. I'm going to say in this case that it would have been Liv Morgan, considering that she was the runner-up of the 2023 Women's Royal Rumble, and we have seen in the past of runner-ups going for the other title that the Royal Rumble winner doesn't choose. However, I feel if Asuka couldn't win the title at WrestleMania, that's the same case with all the other competitors. The 33rd Chamber match took place at Elimination Chamber 2024, where the winner got a Women's World Championship match at WrestleMania 40, which had Becky Lynch, Bianca Belair, Liv Morgan, Naomi, Raquel Rodriguez, and Tiffany Stratton, which had Becky Lynch win the match and go on to face Rhea Ripley for the Women's World Championship at WrestleMania 40, but was unsuccessful at capturing the title. And once again, in this case, I think Liv Morgan would have won. Liv Morgan had returned to WWE at Royal Rumble the month prior after recovering from a shoulder injury. An injury in which, in storyline's sake, was caused by Rhea Ripley, so it was inevitable that the two were going to clash at some point. However, like I mentioned during our recent Royal Rumble videos, I feel if Liv Morgan got the title match at WrestleMania 40, that we wouldn't end up getting the reinvention of her character that we did end up seeing in 2024. Bianca Belair. Although this would mean a SmackDown superstar goes on to challenge for a Raw Championship, this would have finally given us the main roster singles match between Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley that still is yet to happen as of the recording of this video. But I will say that just like 2023, it seemed like the champion was inevitably going to retain at WrestleMania. And the 34th and final chamber match of this video took place that same night, where the winner got a World Heavyweight Championship match at WrestleMania 40, which had Bobby Lashley, Drew McIntyre, Kevin Owens, LA Knight, Logan Paul, and Randy Orton. Drew McIntyre would end up winning this match and go on to face Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania 40. A match where he would win the title, but after getting attacked by CM Punk, Damian Priest would successfully cash in his Money in the Bank briefcase and walk out of WrestleMania as champion. Now, it is a bit difficult to choose who would exactly go into this match, but I am going to say Randy Orton. But I feel like there are a couple of things that would happen regardless of who wins the chamber. First off is that Seth Rollins would be losing the World Heavyweight Championship due to having knee surgery right after WrestleMania, as he did mention on an interview with Chris Van Vliet that he was dealing with that knee injury going into WrestleMania. And I do think in this case that Damian Priest doesn't cash in his Money in the Bank briefcase at WrestleMania, and that he would wait until either the Raw or SmackDown after WrestleMania, or perhaps a PLE before Money in the Bank, because of course Damian Priest only has 1 year to cash in that briefcase.